This video may or may not be a week late, but it's the second half of 2023 and that means it's time for some goal planning. Today I'm going to take you through my process of setting goals for the third quarter of the year, and I also have a little free template that I want to share with you guys, but that'll be later in the video, so don't forget to stay tuned for that. Although my channel is mostly based on bullet journaling, if you know me, you know that I'm a huge fan of Notion. Let's go over there first, talk about some big goals. So I have shown this huge goals page that I have on my Notion before, and I intend to honestly sell templates of this. Basically, I have a lot of sections on this page, including the word of the year, my 5 goal pillars, and then space at the bottom for quarterly check-ins. And I think before you do any goal setting, it's very important to check in with how the last section of the year went. So in this case, the last quarter. So I'm going to go down to the June 30th section and start filling in that information there. If I had to set a word for the quarter, it would be graduation, because over the past 3 months, I focused a lot on testing in school, graduating, graduation parties, and then the relief after graduation and the first month of freedom, technically. At the bottom of the section, we also have 2 columns, one that says what worked well in this quarter and one that says what didn't. First thing I wrote on the left is AP tests went super well. I got all 4s and 5s on all 5 of my exams I took, not to flex. I also finished high school, my senior year, with all A's, and I graduated top of my class, summa cum laude. I prepped for graduation, which was super stressful, and I also hosted a grad party with my friends. So that last week, like leading up to the end of May, was super hectic, but I got all done, it went well. I had my birthday, I turned 17, and I got my doubles pierced, but I don't think I've actually shown on this channel before. Admire the ears. I finished color guard with a bang. We had our last banquet and award ceremonies and parties. I got my mother's website up and running. That was a huge project that took up a lot of June, which is why I haven't actually been working on my own website, but c'est la vie. I experimented a lot with my bullet journal. Lastly, on here, I found some banger reads. If you watched my last video where I talked about my best books of 2023 in a reading journal spread, you would know the best books that I've read so far this year, including the Chestnut Spring series, which I binged all the way through in June, and it was amazing. So with that done, now let's talk about the things that didn't go so well. So saying goodbye to guard and coach, personal things, but I just feel like it could have been a little better. Creating a product to sell in the first half of summer. I'm always trying to focus on how to monetize my business, and I want to make sure that I have things pumping out consistently. So I am focusing currently on how to create products to, share with you guys, but I have not been able to work on that during June because I was working on my mother's website instead. Some more personal stuff down here, including drinking water consistently, which I have not been doing nearly enough, and night routines. I've been trying to focus more on hygiene and personal well-being and stuff like that, but the main issue with me is my work-life balance, because I will literally work until 11:30 p.m. if I have nothing else better to do. So that usually affects my night routine, because then afterwards I really just put on pajamas, brush my teeth, and crash. And I don't have time to focus on myself, my health, well-being, and even just like mental well-being, giving myself time off of the computer. I need to focus on that in the next upcoming quarters. So now that the reflection's done, I'm gonna go through and update each of my goal pillars. So like I mentioned, on this main goals page, I have 5 goal pillars: spiritual, personal, relationships, content and career, and academic. So just for a matter of time's sake, I'm only going to show you one. So let's go into the academic pillar and update that. So basically, if you go into that pillar, then you scroll down, I have my main focus for the entire year, which I talked about before on this channel. And then you scroll down and I have 4 goals in that pillar. And then in each goal, it breaks down even further into multiple steps to achieve that goal. And honestly, this may sound a little confusing, but I like this system because it really breaks down little tiny baby steps I can take to create goals, to create the academic progress that I want to be at by the end of the year. So going into the first section, I can actually cross off multiple of these because I did finish all A's. I got really great scores on my AP test, so that was great, and I finished top 5%. So all of that I can check off, in which case I can scroll back up to the top, and in the completed units section, I can put 4 out of 4, and that updates the progress bar all the way to 100%. Now this progress bar is something that I had to code myself. I looked online with like a tutorial and like figured out how to put it into Notion. And like I said, this entire goals page template will probably be released as a template for you guys to purchase yourself in the future. I'm thinking in the next 6 months or so, hopefully. Going back into the other goals in the academic pillar, I can cross off things like going to prom and planning a good grad party in this goal of making senior year memorable, and again, update the completed units, which moves the progress bar along. Same thing in officially move into SMU, which is my university, because I've gotten a lot of stuff done over the summer to prep for that, including applying for housing, Mustang startup, apply for classes, find a roommate, all that good stuff. So I got to check off a lot of boxes there. there, which is honestly super satisfying, and of course update the bar at the top. The last goal in this pillar is finding a uni-work balance, but I haven't actually gone to university yet, so that's going to be something I probably focus on in the last quarter of the year, or at least like in the months that I'm actually in college. Additionally, this is something I really do need to work on though, because like I mentioned before, I have a hard time balancing work and life. So now when I go to university, I'm gonna have to balance university, work, and life, and that's gonna be a little hectic. So I'll focus on this more in the next goal planning video that we do together. So now that Notion is all done, let's move into my bullet journal. I was really debating doing a quarter in review spread in my bullet journal instead of doing it on Notion, but since I already had those set up over there, I decided to do it digitally. But now let's go into my bullet journal, because I actually have not finished filling out my spreads from my new bullet journal 2023 setup that I posted like 3 weeks ago. The video will be down below where I set up all the spreads in this new journal, but I want to go through first and make sure that everything is filled out with my personal information so I'm good and set for the second half of the year. Flipping through the pages, the cover page, the grid spacing, there's nothing there, but I want to go to the future log and add a couple things from my calendar. Now, most of this stuff is just birthdays from my friends, because I always want to keep track of my birthdays. A good goal of mine, actually, ironically, in the relationship section is just making sure I'm always trying to reach out to people that I haven't talked to in a while, keeping the relationships going, and especially on birthdays, it's just an easy time to be able to do that. So if I remember people's birthdays, send them a little birthday text. If I'm with them, I can send them a gift, stuff like that. I want to make sure that those dates are remembered. Another couple dates that I have, especially in the recent months, I have a competition that I'm going to on the 21st. My best friend Abigail is performing in DCI and I'm so excited to see her. So I'm going to go watch her performance on the 21st of July. And I also have move-in days for SMU. I'm going to be doing that on August 17th. So I just wanted to write those dates in the future log. If you don't know much about the bullet journaling system and you're watching this video because you're here for the goals planning, basically the future log is like an overview of the entire year, in this case from July to December. And then I will take those dates that I wrote in here and put them in my monthly calendars, in my weekly spreads, and all those different things in my bullet journal throughout the year. I do have an online calendar. I use iCal, like I've mentioned before, and that's where I'm getting these dates from, but I do like to write them down in my bullet journal since I reference this thing like every single day. Next, let's flip over to the goals page. So as I explained in my 2023 bullet journaling setup video, I have a pretty big chart on this page separated into the 5 columns, which correlate with the 5 goal pillars. And then they each have 2 rows on them. So the first row is going to be things that went well in the last 2 quarters, and then the bottom one is things to work on in the next 2 quarters. So I'm not going to write everything. I don't think the internet needs to know that much of my personal information, but I do want to write down 1 or 2 things that could be better in the next quarter and things that did really well for the first half of 2023. In the personal section, I had a goal at the beginning of the year to read 50 books in 2023, one that I've been doing really well on. I'm actually a couple books ahead of that, and it is now currently early July. So I wrote in the top section that I'm doing really well on that. However, in the bottom section, I need to prioritize my physical well-being. Like I mentioned earlier, I want to focus more on that, and that needs to be something that I implement in my daily schedule. So I'm putting that at the bottom for things to remind myself to work on throughout the rest of the year. Similarly, in the career and content section, I wrote monetized with brand collabs and sponsorships, because I've actually been doing super well with that. I've had a lot of great opportunities so far this year, and I've been making surprisingly great collaborations with a lot of different stationery brands, and hopefully giving you guys more stationery brands to be aware of and look out for. So I'm really glad that I've been working on that this year. However, that has led to me slacking in other forms like my product forming, and also getting my YouTube goal of 10,000 subscribers this year. I know we can do it. I know we're gonna get there, but it has been a little slow growth leading up to like June-ish. So I wanted to make sure that I can focus on publishing value consistently so that we can grow and our little community over here on YouTube can grow, and I'm super excited about that. So these goals that I am currently writing in basically just reflect what is on Notion, but putting them into my bullet journal and writing them down by hand not only solidifies it, number one, but also gives me a way for me to transfer these into my bullet journaling setups. Like for example, in my July setup, which I'll show you, this is my July bullet journaling setup. The link to this video will also be down below where I set up all these spreads, but here is a section for my monthly goals, and I basically just took the goals that I need to work on, just grabbed a couple of them and put them into that section of the spread. That way I can complete them during the month. And if you want to go even further, if you're someone like me who sometimes likes to do weekly goals or like weekly priorities, I guess you can call it like that, looking at the goals, seeing what needs to be done, and putting a goal into a week. Like for example, I want to really focus on my night routine this week, so I'm going to make sure that I set up a timer so I am done working by 6 p.m. for example every day, and you put that into your weekly priorities, or maybe a habit tracker. And then if you complete that, you're closer to getting your goal of hygiene done. And if you do that, then you're closer to achieving your yearly goal of personal health, stuff like that. It's all just a chain system, breaking down into small steps. That way you can achieve them slowly and just change your life. Honestly, by the end of the year, you're going to be a changed person. And if that sounds like the perfect system for you, I got you covered, because I just literally 2 hours ago created a free template for goal setting that is available for you. I know how daunting goals can be, whether it's yearly goals or quarterly goals or whatever in between. I want to help you guys make sure that you can streamline your goal setting system. That way you can set goals that stick and just create a more productive lifestyle. So I created a 5-page PDF that's free for you to download, where you can outline your word of the period, whether that's like a year or a quarter, what went well the last time and what didn't, just like I did, and then also going through your 5 goal pillars, whatever those are for you, and defining about 2 goals for each one, along with actionable steps on how to achieve them. So I feel like it's really straightforward, it just takes you through the process. And if you need any help with figuring out how to set the goals, I hope that this video kind of gives you an example of how I did mine, so you can kind of replicate that for your own process. Again, it's completely free, and you can use it for yearly goals or quarterly goals, or just keep downloading more if you want to do it for every section of the year. And if you're interested in signing up for that, the link will be down below. It's an immediate, instant download, and I really hope you guys like using it. And if you do use it online, definitely tag me at my Instagrams that are linked in the description box as well. I would love to see how you guys get to use this template. So with that, all of my goals are set for the third quarter of 2023. I feel like a refreshed woman, and I hope that you guys also can do the same with my template in the description box below. Subscribe to this channel because I post productivity and bullet journaling videos every week. And check out this video here on the screen, where I set up my goals in April for the second half of this year, if you want to get any more of that juicy goal content. Sending love.